A play to scale back Russia's power at the United Nations. How will Russia react? Our next guest called the United Nations veto power undemocratic while the General Assembly tried to rein that power in. Remember, Russia is one of the 5 members of the Council who wield that veto power. But a consensus motion would require Russia, the United States, France, China, and Britain to appear before the 193 countries making up the Assembly to justify a veto. How much of a difference does this actually make to the United Nations? This all comes on a day that Russia seemed to threaten to use nuclear weapons, and the UN Secretary General, and we have a picture of it, met with Vladimir Putin at this ridiculously long table to try to hammer out some peace deal. So to sort all this out, Canada's ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Rae, just spoke there, joins us now. Ambassador, always a pleasure. Okay, let me get to just the news first, and then we'll get to the UN. The Secretary General met with Vladimir Putin on the day that there's a threat of nuclear weapons. What was the point of that? Was there any progress with Putin?
Well, I think the point is the Secretary General is trying to create the basis for a humanitarian ceasefire, a protocol where we can get civilians out of situations of danger and where we can save some lives, and also encourage the parties to keep on meeting and to try to find a way to come to a solution. By the way, I don't want any of your listeners to think that I'm responsible for the architecture of that table, just to be clear. I think it's important to stress that that's really what the Secretary General is trying to do. It's really not dramatic, Evan. It's just a pursuit of his role, which is essentially to try to find a basis for some kind of ability to resolve the damage that's being caused by this conflict, which is very intense, as you know, and very tragic. And we need to do everything we can to try to solve that aspect of the crisis, and then find a means to get the parties together to resolve the politics and the other things that are at the basis of this conflict.
I just want to say, to remind our viewers, on a busy day, Ambassador, the Canadian Defence Minister, Anita Anand, was joined more than 40 of her counterparts in Germany to try to coordinate a weapons delivery to Ukraine. It's been condemned by Russia. So as the world's kind of lining up against Russia, how did you and other ambassadors say that the veto power of Russia on the Security Council is undiplomatic? How did you try to essentially curtail Russia's power there?
Well, it's not just Russia. What we're trying, there's a frustration that's been growing in the General Assembly about the use of the veto, and how the Security Council is not some private club. It's a public organization at the heart of the United Nations, and right now it's dysfunctional. It isn't able to engage successfully in resolving the dispute, which is at the heart of the biggest crisis we've seen in the globe since 1945, and that is the Ukraine crisis. So we're not trying to simply point a finger at Russia in this particular resolution. The effort is to force the P5, as we call them, the permanent members, to justify their use of the veto. We think that may have an effect in reducing the use of the veto. Frankly, we don't know. What we're trying to do is reach out and say, okay, you guys have created this intolerable situation, this level of dysfunction. It's now up to us to try and fix it within the limited means of the General Assembly. And this is one effort. And Canada thought that it was worthwhile to work very closely with Liechtenstein, which we've done, and to get this resolution in front of the Assembly. And today it was approved by consensus. There was not even a vote. It was just approved.
Yeah, Russia, as usual, furious at you, furious at the rest of the United Nations for that consensus vote. But again, go ahead, last word, sir.
My shoulders are big.
Yeah, well, listen. We know this is part of the effort to try to find some resolution to the horrific conflict in Ukraine. Sir, I know you got to run. Ambassador Rae, thank you for your time on another important day inside the United Nations and outside the United Nations. But again, no resolution as the Ukrainians continue to fight to save the sovereignty of their country.